17 in Mendon. My name is John Freeman, and I work in project management at the Massachusetts Department of Transportation's Highway Division headquarters in Boston. Although this is not my project, I am filling in for the project manager. During this presentation, we will explain the purpose of the hearing, provide an overview of the right-of-way procedures, present the project design, and open the hearing for questions and comments. Finally, we will explain how you can submit your comments and questions about the project after tonight. Comments received within 10 business days of the hearing will be included with the official hearing transcript. Now, I'd like to introduce our producers, Christopher Clem and Raisa Kwam, who will go over the basics of how this live virtual design public hearing will be conducted. Raisa?
Thank you, John. My name is Raisa Kwame, and I will be your MassDOT producer this evening, along with Christopher Clem, who is currently controlling this slideshow. Let's go over some Zoom basics. On the bottom left, you can find your audio controls. The chat function is disabled for this meeting. Please direct your wishing questions to the Q&A box. You can type your questions at any time, and we will answer them towards the end of the meeting at our Q&A session. During the Q&A, you may also click to raise your hand, and I'll give you access to mute your mic, since everyone joins this meeting automatically muted. Finally, please note that while Zoom provides automatic closed captions, they may not be entirely accurate. We have a stenographer at this meeting, David Frazier, courtesy of Arlington Typing and Mailing. He will be creating a transcript for the entire meeting that is part of the public record. MassDOT may choose to retain and distribute the transcript. If you type a question or ask one verbally, know that you will be part of the record.
I'm just recording the capture.
So please use both functions for project-related business only. Please note that we will have a question and answer session at the end of the presentation. However, feel free to type your questions into the Q&A box as they occur, and we will answer them during the Q&A. All questions and comments are welcome. However, please refrain from any disrespectful comments. Lastly, a survey will pop at the end of this hearing. Please take the time to answer it. Your feedback is really important to us.
Can't rename it, huh?
Thank you for joining our meeting. We appreciate your participation. I will now read the notice of MassDOT MBTA policy on diversity and civil rights. All MassDOT MBTA activities, including public meetings, are free of discrimination. The MassDOT MBTA complies with all federal and state civil rights requirements preventing discrimination on the basis of race, color, national origin, limited English proficiency, and additional protected characteristics. We welcome the diversity from across our entire service area. If you have any questions or concerns, please visit this website to reach the Office of Diversity and Civil Rights. All questions and comments are welcome and appreciated. However, we do request that you refrain from any disrespectful comments. Now back to our MassDOT PM, Jonathan Freeman.
Thank you, Raisa. Again, my name is John Freeman, and I work in MassDOT project management. I'm also joined by several folks to help with this evening's presentation. We have Chris Clem and Raisa Kwame, who will be the producers of this presentation. Michael Ruderman with the MassDOT's right-of-way section for MassDOT's District 3 office. We have Ann Sullivan, District Project Development Engineer Joe Frawley, District Traffic Operations Engineer, and Tom Emmerich. And we have David Frazier from Arlington Typing and Mailing, who will be the stenographer taking a verbatim transcript of this presentation. We also have Kim Neiman, Town Administrator, and Lonnie Tinio from the Mendon Board of Selectmen. I'm also joined by James Barnack from HNTB Corporation, who is a member of MassDOT's design consultant team. Throughout the design of this project, MassDOT and HNTB Corporation will work closely with the Town of Mendon. For tonight's presentation, we will be reviewing the project history, the project goals, the proposed improvements, the project impacts, environmental permitting, and the project schedule before opening up the hearing to questions and answers. This will be your opportunity to ask questions, provide feedback, or look for clarification on any of the presentation materials. Your feedback is important to us, and we certainly encourage and appreciate your participation. This virtual design public hearing has been advertised in several ways. The virtual design public hearing has been advertised in 2 local newspapers in English, the Telegram and Gazette on September 7 and September 14 in 2022, and the Milford Daily on September 8 and September 15 in 2022. Notification of this virtual design public hearing was also posted on MassDOT's website, and advertisements for this hearing were posted on the official MassDOT Twitter account. Finally, the town of Mendon has helped coordinate the public hearing by posting the information on the town website. A hearing handout has been prepared and posted to the MassDOT website along with this presentation. If you would like to retrieve that handout now, you will find documentation which may be useful to you in understanding the project and submitting formal comments in response to this presentation. In terms of project history, notice to proceed was awarded to HNTB Corporation in August 2017. Several design, pedestrian, and bicycle safety and historical coordination meetings occurred during the preliminary design until a preferred concept was selected. The project design incorporated preliminary design, right-of-way impacts, and permitting requirements, and was submitted to MassDOT in August 2021 as a 25% design submission. After a review of the submission and a comment resolution meeting with MassDOT, the town, designer, and MassDOT held a utility coordination meeting in May 2022. This has all led up to tonight's virtual design public hearing. As I mentioned, there has been substantial public outreach of the Select Board, the Historical Commission, Veterans Community, community stakeholders, and local business owners. We plan to continue the ongoing collaboration as we progress the design. Outreach letters for the early environmental coordination were mailed to stakeholders, including a town administrator, superintendent of Henry P. Clough's School, the town clerk, highway superintendent, director of parks and recreation, chief of police, fire chief, library director, and the historical commission. So why was this project initiated? The project was initiated so that Route 16 could meet the requirements of the MassDOT Healthy Transportation Directive, as well as improve several safety deficiencies along Route 16 corridor. The need for this project includes substandard geometry at several intersections, deficient multimodal accommodations, includes disconnected sidewalks, non-compliant Americans with Disabilities Act sidewalks, and no bike lanes. Poor pavement condition, including rutting and cracking, poor stormwater management collection, and substandard traffic signals and traffic signage. The purpose of the project is to improve safety for all users, improve safety at all intersections, and to promote walking and bicycling along Route 16 corridor. This graphic shows an aerial view of the project limits outlined in red. The project limits start on Uxbridge Road, Route 16 in Mendon, just west of Taft Avenue, and continue east for 1.9 miles on Route 16 to the Hopedale town line, just east of Harrington Street. In addition to the corridor, the following intersections and their roadway approaches are included in the project and are highlighted in yellow. Route 16 and Hartford Avenue West, Route 16 and Melville Street, Route 16 and Emerson Street, Washington Street, Route 16 and Maple Street, and Route 16 and Main Street, North Avenue. Existing deficiencies along Route 16 and at the existing intersections include traffic congestion, poor and unsafe operations, and a crash rate higher than the statewide average. In addition, existing deficiencies were also observed along the corridor, including, but not limited to, a lack of consistent pedestrian and bicycle accommodations, poor pavement conditions, unconnected sidewalks, and drainage issues. The next few slides will show existing conditions, photos of these deficiencies and others. Some of the deficiencies in this photo include pavement in poor condition, no bicycle accommodation, and non-compliant Americans with Disabilities Act sidewalks. Outdated signage does not provide proper retroreflectivity and advanced warning needed. The lack of accommodations for all users throughout the corridor is seen in these photos. Due to the numerous driveways, both residential and commercial, improving access management to and from Route 16 was evaluated to improve safety for all users. This project will make the needed improvements to these existing deficiencies. Given these deficiencies, the goals of the project are quite clear. The project will improve pedestrian accommodations, add bicycle accommodations, and improve intersection safety and geometry. This project will improve safety for all modes while staying consistent with Mass DOT's Healthy Transportation Policy Directive, which encourages and promotes multimodal accommodation with the long-term goal of increasing the number of trips made by walking and biking. The project will also improve the existing roadway pavement, access management, and include stormwater improvements. Based upon these goals, 2 design alternatives were studied. The Route 16 corridor alternatives were reviewed for pedestrian and bicycle accommodations. These alternatives looked at separate and shared accommodations for pedestrians and bicycles through sidewalks with on-road bicycle lanes, as well as off-road shared use paths for use by both pedestrians and bicycles. Alternative 1 shows 1 travel lane in each direction with a 2-lane left turn lane. On the left side is a continuous 7-foot wide sidewalk, and on the right side is an 8-foot wide shared use path buffered with a 4-foot landscape strip. Alternative 2 shows 1 travel lane in each direction, separated by a painted median. 5-foot buffered bike lanes are provided on the street with 2 6-foot sidewalks for pedestrians. Once the 2 alternatives were identified, detailed analysis and discussion with Mass DOT, the town, and HNTB took place, and the preferred alternative was selected and is presented here tonight. The preferred alternative, which includes an 8-foot wide shared use path on the south side and a 7-foot wide sidewalk on the north side, was selected to reduce right-of-way impacts, reduce environmental impacts, increase safety for all users by separating the bicycle accommodations from the roadway. Corridor-wide improvements will include new pavement, stormwater improvements, and new pavement markings and signage. Specific improvements to each of the intersections will be discussed in detail in the following slides. The next few slides, we will discuss the proposed changes at 4 intersections. The proposed changes include geometric changes to accommodate WB67 trucks, improved traffic operations and sightlines, new pavement markings and signing, Americans with Disabilities Act compliant crossings at newly designed intersections, new traffic signals at the intersections of Route 16 and Hartford Avenue West and Route 16 and Main Street, Route 16 and Main Street North Avenue signal improvements, and a new mid-block crosswalk with flashing lights at the Hopedale Town Line. This slide shows the existing intersection at Route 16 and Hartford Avenue West. This slide shows a rendering of proposed improvements, including a right turn lane, a left turn lane to Hartford Avenue West, new sidewalks, crosswalks, and a new signalized intersection. Bicycle accommodations will use the shared use path, which is shown on the bottom of the graphic. This slide shows the existing intersection at Route 16 and Millville Road. This slide shows a rendering of the proposed improvements, including a two-way left turn lane on Route 16, a left turn lane to Millville Road, new sidewalks, crosswalks, and a new signalized intersection. Bicycle accommodations will use the shared use path, which is shown in the bottom of the graphic. This slide shows the existing intersection at Route 16 and Washington, Emerson, and Maple Streets. This slide shows a rendering of the proposed improvements, including new signalized intersections, left turn lanes at the Washington Street, Emerson Street intersection, a right turn slip lane onto Maple Street, new sidewalks, crosswalks, and bicycle accommodations will use the shared use path, which is shown on the bottom of the graphic. The Maple Street intersection has also been redesigned to be a T intersection to improve sight distance and safety. This slide shows the existing intersection at Route 16 and Main Street North Avenue. This slide shows a rendering of the proposed improvements, including a left turn lane for all roadway segments, new sidewalks, crosswalks, and a new upgraded signalized intersection. Bicycle accommodations will use the shared use path, which is shown on the bottom of the graphic. The intersection geometry was also revised to improve the crossing distance for both pedestrians and vehicles. Now we will discuss the right-of-way process for this project. I will turn the presentation over to Michael Ruderman for
Thank you, Jonathan. This is Michael Ruderman, and I'm here representing the Right-of-Way Bureau of MassDOT. Right-of-way is responsible for acquiring the fee or the permanent easements or the temporary easements, all the necessary rights in the land of the public for the design, construction, and the implementation for this project. As the plans are now at what we call the 25% stage, that's a benchmark that is based upon the number of details that have been finalized and the number of details that still need to be added in. We're still constructing the plot of what easements, whether temporary or permanent, or fee takings may be required. So we're still putting that together. The most important thing that I can tell you tonight is that if you have, in this project, a particular impact on your property, someone in my office is going to get in touch with you personally, either me or one of my staff, and we will make an appointment with you individually so that we can explain to you all of the procedures in right-of-way, how eminent domain works, mostly how the laws protect your interests in eminent domain, whether it be in the state's laws under Chapter 79 or in federal law, if there's any federal funding attached to this project. Title III of the Real Property Act of 1970 pertains to protections to the public. Many of these protections are the right to be notified, the right to have an explanation of what's going to happen, the right to be informed of the various stages in the right-of-way process, that your property will be appraised by a licensed appraiser, a negotiator will come to you with what we determine to be the fair compensation, the just compensation for the damages. And if you disagree with that, what your options are for challenging that, whether internally or even up to the level of a court case. We will explain all of this personally to you individually if your property is going to be affected by any sort of takings. In the meantime, preliminary right-of-way drawings are available at the town hall and on state websites for your review and comment. I will be attending the rest of this meeting in the background, and I'll be here at the end of the meeting also for any questions you may have about how the right-of-way process works or our internal procedures. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Jonathan.
Thank you, Michael. Next, we'll review how pedestrians and bicyclists will be impacted by proposed improvements. I just wanted to clarify before we move forward that the slide for the Emerson Street intersection was incorrect. There's only one intersection located at Maple Street on the slide, and also the Millville Street intersection is not going to be signalized. Now that we get that straightened out, I apologize. We'll review how pedestrians and bicyclists will be impacted by proposed improvements. The project will provide significant benefits for pedestrians and will be compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act. There will be pedestrian curb ramps, shared use paths, and sidewalks throughout the project. All crosswalks will have highly visible pavement markings and several mid-block crossings. For bicyclists, improvements will provide an 8-foot shared use path along Route 16. What are the environmental, cultural, and community impacts? This slide is a map of the existing environmental resources within the project limits. As noted previously, Mendon is categorized as an historic district and has several national heritage and endangered species priority habitats. Due to the existing environmental resources within the project limits, this slide indicates the environmental evaluation the team is conducting now to ensure compliance. Additional impacts are on the brothers of the Brush Memorial and Veterans Memorial monuments. Both will be relocated, and Mass DOT has worked with both veterans groups and have agreed on new locations. The existing Muddy Brook culvert will be extended due to the widening of Route 16 to accommodate pedestrians and bicyclists. So, how will the road user be affected? Some minor roadway detours are anticipated, similar to the one shown to detour traffic off of Maple Street. These detours will be used as needed, and only used in short durations for a week or two in order to complete the work. Roadside work, such as sidewalk and curb installation, will take place during regular construction work hours. These activities will be outside of the traveled way, and all streets in the project area will remain open to traffic throughout construction. During peak periods, a minimum of 2 lanes of traffic will be maintained. Roadwork within the traveled way will occur during off-peak hours when traffic volumes are lower. During these times, there may be short-term use of alternating one-way traffic. It is expected that police details will be utilized to help facilitate these temporary traffic control setups. The project strives to limit the impact to abutters by always maintaining access. However, short-term impacts are likely, and the resident engineer will communicate with abutters in order to best coordinate when those short-term impacts could be accommodated. Night work is not anticipated at this time. Lastly, the construction of this project is anticipated to last approximately 2 years. In terms of next steps on the project, after tonight, we will consider any comments received and proceed with 75% design to be completed in the spring of 2023. After that, we will move into final design and work with the state right-of-way section to secure a necessary right-of-way. The project is scheduled to have an estimated advertisement date for construction in the fall of 2023, with construction likely to start during the summer of 2024. Estimated cost of construction is approximately $13 million. How will we keep you informed? There are several ways to reach Mass DOT going forward on this project. You can email comments to the email address listed on this slide. Submit comments to the address shown with attention to project management and the project file number 608491. Or you can visit the Mass DOT virtual design public hearing website listed, or simply scan the QR code shown on the screen. I would now like to turn it back over to Raisa Kwam to begin the question and answer session. Elected officials will have the opportunity to speak first.
Thank you, Jonathan. Before we open the hearing for public comment, we would first like to ask if there are any public or elected officials present tonight who would like to speak or ask a question. If you are a public official and wish to speak, please put your name and title in the Q&A box now so we can call on you and address you properly. I will now explain how to participate in the Q&A session. To ask a question verbally, click the raise hand button, and I will give you access to unmute your microphone when it is your turn. If you're asking a question via phone, dial *9, and I will call out the last 4 digits of your phone number to let you know it's your turn. Please remember to state your name before speaking. If you prefer typing your question, click on the Q&A box and type away. I will read your question out loud, along with Christopher Clem, when it is your turn. We have a lot of participants today, so I ask that you share only 1 question or comment at a time and limit your speaking time to 2 minutes so everyone can participate. Finally, please note that a survey will automatically pop up at the conclusion of this meeting. Please complete it and let us know how this virtual meeting went. Your feedback is important to us.
Okay, we can go back to, I wanted to defer to District 3 since I mentioned, pulled into this project at the last minute to fill in. I don't have as much background with this project, so I want to defer to either HNTB or District 3 to discuss the mistakes on the slide about Emerson and Noble Streets.
Sure, John. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Joe Frawley. Again, I'm the District Traffic Engineer for MassDOT District 3. And just for a little bit of clarification, and I'm not sure if the slide is something we can get back to, and if that showed it correctly or not. But at Millville Road, the intersection is going to be under stop control. So Route 16 will continue to have the right-of-way as they do today. The triangle configuration will be modified some, and there will be a stop sign for traffic looking to exit Millville Road. Yeah, we can go back a couple more slides, please. Yes, so for people wanting to turn right from Millville onto Route 16, they'll have a yield sign. At the intersection of Washington Street, Emerson, and Maple, that's the next slide or two. Unfortunately, that slide has a mistake on it. There is no signal proposed at the intersection of Emerson and Washington Street. However, a traffic signal is proposed at the intersection of Route 16 and Maple Street. I hope that helps clarify. Thank you for the question.
Okay, I will unmute now Dan Byer, who will allow Bill Ambrosino from the Town Hall Planning Board to speak.
All set? Yes, this is Bill Ambrosino. I'm chair of the planning board here in Mendon. And I just wanted to make a comment that I'd like to be involved in, going forward, if I could be notified. We have a lot of site plans going on, and I want to incorporate anything we allow into the project as far as egress and those situations. And actually, hopefully, get an opportunity to speak to someone regarding the future egresses or changes that you plan on making to those.
Bill, yes, sorry, Joe. Bill, if you could just work with our permit section, I can provide you with contact information. So any site development that you have going on within the project limits, if you can work with our permit section, who can also coordinate with HMTB and the project manager to make sure that we're aware of any improvements that are proposed along the corridor.
Certainly.
I will now unmute Mike Maroli.
Thanks. I had written a question, but I just wanted a clarification on the traffic signals, which I think was done while I was speaking. So there isn't going to be one in Emerson, but there will be one at Maple Street. There'll still be one at North Avenue. And then I guess, is there one or is there not going to be one at Hartford Avenue West?
Hi, good evening. Yes, there will be a traffic signal at the intersection of Route 16 and Hartford Avenue West.
Okay, so there'll be a total of three then, three signals rather than just the one that is at North Ave now.
That does sound correct, yes.
All right, thanks very much.
Thank you.
I will now unmute Dan Byer, who will allow James Quirk at the town hall to speak.
Hi, my name is James Quirk. I currently own the property at 23 and 25 Uxbridge Road, which is on the corner of Uxbridge Road and Hartford Avenue West. My question is, how is my property going to be affected? Would my ability for curb cuts be prohibited in the future past this, past the project date? I just don't want to lose any access to my property. Tom, you're muted.
Turn the camera on and then muted myself. Can you go to the slide for West Hartford Avenue at Route 16? It should be the first intersection. It's this one right here. So Jim, as you can see on this plan, the existing driveway for that property is maintained. So if there's no development on that property prior to construction, this is how it would look when we're done. If there does become some development through our process, while we're designing the project before we go to construction, that's something that we can adapt before we do go to construction. So it would require a permit for any change in use there. So that would go through our permit section. But you'd be able to maintain your existing access to the property now. And if you have something proposed for the future, if you could get that to our designer, that's something that they can take a look at early on in the design to see if any changes need to be made to accommodate that.
Yeah, Tom, so if you look just to the west of the house in that field there, I'm sorry, east of the house where the field is, as you see the first arrow going onto the closer to the intersection, that's going to be a commercial project that I'm going to be obtaining permits for. I hope before the project starts. I'd like to be able to get some type of a curb cut there before the house for that parcel, and also after the house on the Hartford Avenue side. I think that's more of a town permit there, but I just want to make sure that there'll be accessibility to both of those parcels of property.
Yeah, so if you're looking at changing the driveway further to the east, Jim, back towards where the first arrow and the only is, it actually probably works out better.
Yes, that is exactly. So you see there's a tree there. The access I would like to have is be right around that area.
Okay, and just to let you know too, that section of West Hartford Avenue is in the state highway layout for a portion of that.
Yep.
So it would be something that we would probably permit also.
Okay.
So if you are working on some preliminary plans, if you want to share them with us, we can get them to our design consultant, and they can kind of take a look at them as we're developing our project.
Okay. I will definitely do that. I'll get together my plans and get access to you and share them with you.
All right. Thank you, Jim.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Welcome.
Any more questions?
Town hall with Lonnie to make sure there's no other questions there.
All right, does anyone have any other questions at town hall?
I'm going to have one too.
Okay, I'll do this first. Go ahead, Dan. Well, once they.
Okay, he said one more.
I haven't muted you.
Okay,
Dan Byer.
this is Dan Byer. I'm one of the Parks Commissioners and the Director of Parks and Rec in Mendon. I'm just curious if you could clarify what's changing with regards to the islands. If I'm seeing it correctly, it looks like the island in the North Ave 16 intersection is going, and then Civil War is getting reconstructed. The Brothers Memorial is being moved, and then is the island at Millville Road remaining?
James, maybe you can answer that. You probably have the best kind of handle on all of those details.
Sure. So I'll try to answer it in pieces. So the island at Millville and Route 16 is staying. It's becoming probably half the size, but it does allow for pedestrian safety. So that is staying. I believe you asked about the monument at Emerson Street. So that is shifting slightly south, probably about 20 feet, but it will be in the general vicinity of where it is today. And then the Brothers Monument at Maple Street is being shifted about 40 feet to the east on the corner. And that is something that we have been working with the town, and we can continue ongoing coordination if those locations, if you want to provide a different location. But that's what, from several meetings we've had with the town, that's what was agreed upon to date. Was there any other, there's a list of questions. Did I answer
North Ave,
all of those?
the one in North Ave at 16, that one's coming out right by Founders Park.
James, can we have the slides brought up for that intersection, just so we can kind of?
Yeah, I don't have control of the, and North Ave is being removed.
Okay.
That is to allow for truck turning movements to accommodate a WB 67.
Okay, thanks.
North Ave should be the last colored graphic. To the right, yeah.
We have another question from Bill Ambrosino from the town planning board chair.
Yes, I just had one more quick question. Is there any further consideration for further traffic circles? I kind of promote traffic circles. That's kind of how we got into the private development of the traffic circle at Millville Road. I figure if they put one at Kelly Square in Worcester, they can put one anywhere.
Hi, yeah, good evening. So we went through as part of the early development of the project, looking really closely at what we could do to put roundabouts in as part of the project, because we certainly in MassDOT as a whole and in District 3 especially, we really like roundabouts. We really realize how efficient they can be and how safe they can be. And so working with our designer at HNTB, we really looked at it at a lot of these locations. And because of some of the constraints and because of some of the projected traffic volumes at a lot of these locations, certainly at Main Street and North Ave, which we're looking at right now, but also further down towards Maple and at Hartford Avenue West, it really was very challenging to try to fit them in, which is why we ended up going with the traffic signals. Certainly, I think it's great that the town has been working with the developer to look at the Millville Road intersection. It's a great location for a roundabout in a lot of ways, given the amount of space that we have there. And so I know we appreciate the work the town's been doing with the developer to kind of help get them in touch with MassDOT and our designer, and we've been working certainly towards being able to work on a way to make sure that our improvements can be coordinated with the private development and with the potential to put a roundabout at this location. So I hope that helps answer the question, but we certainly love to try to find locations to fit in roundabouts where we can. Thank you.
looks like we have a raised hand.
I have unmuted you, Mike Maroli.
Yeah, I just want to follow up on the last answer to the question of a traffic circle at Millville Street and Route 16. I understand you're saying you like the opportunity in the room, but you didn't really explain why or why not you thought a traffic circle was a good idea. And I just would like you to comment on the idea that right now we're only at 25% design level. So is it possible that that intersection at Millville Street could still turn into a traffic light or a traffic circle? And if not, what could we do to have it an intensified look made to maybe doing more improvement to the intersection and help the traffic flow of the traffic circle?
When we were working on our 25% design for this project, was before we were aware of the private development. And so we looked at, based on the existing traffic using the Route 16 Millville Road intersection, and because of the volumes that were counted when we did that initial study, thought at the time that two-way stop control was appropriate. Certainly, with the nature of the proposed development, that proposed developer has been working with Mass DOT to submit information related to projected traffic associated with that development, which certainly changes the amount of traffic that would be using that intersection with proposed development on that parcel. And we've looked at various alternatives as part of that development and agreed with the conclusion from the developer's consultant that a roundabout seemed like the best solution as part of that development effort. We're going to continue to work with that development, and if that development occurs, may very well occur before our project's constructed, but we will coordinate with that development to make sure that their front door work is integrated with our project. I hope that helps answer the question, but please, if there's something additional you have, I can try to answer further.
No, that is helpful. What you're telling me is it's hearing that upstream and downstream of that location, specifically at Hartford Ave West and even at North Ave and Main Street, the traffic flow, at Millville Street would increase the traffic flow on both of those locations as well. So it's fair to say that the entire project design is still subject to change based on those projections of changes in traffic flow. And then I guess the follow-up question is there any consideration to doing another traffic study? Because there are changes happening, and there have been changes that have happened in the area that could affect the traffic flow count numbers.
Yes. In terms of the traffic study that was done for our 25% design, I think it would be, we would probably want to have a conversation with the town as the design advances to see if to understand how much data collection should be done to understand how things have changed. Certainly the original traffic study was done before the pandemic. So certainly I think we realize the traffic patterns have probably changed. But that traffic study does look at a future condition that accounts for general background growth as well as developments that we are aware of at the time. I will mention that the development will have to do their own traffic study to understand how their development traffic impacts the intersections along the corridor. Certainly from MassDOT's standpoint, we want to make sure between the work that we're doing and the work that the developer would have to do to make sure that we're accounting for future traffic volumes. So I think it's I really appreciate the comment, and I think we'll have a conversation with the town and look at what needs to be done to do some additional traffic counts to make sure that our projections are really fully taking into account the both changing traffic patterns in the last few years, but also the development that's occurring in Mendon as well as in the neighboring towns that could impact this corridor. Thank you very much.
All right, that's great. I appreciate the commitment to the follow-up conversation, because clearly there is commercial development going on up and down Route 16, both east and west of this intersection, which certainly will impact the traffic, especially by 2024 when you think this is going to be done. So that's great. If you can just honor that request of the planning board chair to incorporate our planning board into it and keep them posted. I'm sure they'll give you great feedback so that you can get accurate traffic. That's great. Thanks very much.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, additionally, any development that goes on the state highway needs to be permitted. So they work through our permits office, and part of that is traffic impacts. So as long as we're notified, as the planning board receives requests, if you can let us know, then we can work with the developer on the permitting process and any traffic impacts also.
I know there was a recent traffic study done for a proposed new entertainment venue adjacent to the drive-in. I don't know if that information has been passed along to you or not, but there's also a cannabis establishment that was opened as well as the other ones we talked about. So again, I think that's why the planning board chair was asking about it. And I'm sure they'll give you access to all the information, because we've really modernized everything and it's all available through SharePoint electronically.
Yeah, no, we've been working with the development across the street from George's, and I'm not sure about the other development, the entertainment place that you're talking about. I don't think I've seen a permit come through for that. But we can look into that and make sure that we're up to date on everything that's proposed through there.
Yeah, there's two of them. I mean, one of them is a storage facility, which I don't anticipate that has a lot of impact, but that's directly across from the drive-in. And then adjacent to the drive-in is an entertainment facility that I know they did a traffic study because they presented it to our select board. So it does exist.
All right, what I'll do is I'll put our permits engineer in touch with the planning board just to make sure that we have current permit applications in for any of those developments.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, you're welcome, Lee.
Hi, everyone. I'm the other MassDOT producer on the call, Chris Clem. We have a couple minutes left for the end of our presentation, so I just want to advise everyone, if you want to take some time to digest the information here, you can submit comments and questions within 10 business days using either of the two methods on the screen. And there's some additional resources as well located on MassDOT's Design Public Hearing website. So we encourage you to check those out, and please submit any comments and questions to participate in this discussion. give folks another 30 seconds just in case anyone has another last minute question.
That was pretty timeless.
Yeah, I have one more question. Is there going to be another public hearing like this when we get further along in the design, or is this the only one because the intention is to, to get to it now and then be able to move forward?
This is Ann Sullivan from the district. Typically, we just do the 25% design public hearing. If there were to be big changes, we might do another, I don't foresee that, but, so this would be the, probably the only, public meeting would have.
I understand that. I just, for the edification of everybody listening, I think it's important if there are other people that have things they want to say, that, like you suggest, they put it in writing and send it in. And of course, it's great that you're going to pull in the planning board so they have more input, or at least a good line of communication as it goes forward. So thanks very much.
Yeah, I think that'll be important to the success of the project.
Yeah, and one thing just to add to that is, at each design submission, the town gets a copy of the updated design. So at 75%, 100%, they'll receive copies. So at any time during that process, the town can reach out to MassDOT with any, questions or comments or concerns they may have.
That's great. Thanks again. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Ann. And thank you for all your questions, comments, Mike, and others. I'm not seeing any more hands, and at this time it is 8 o'clock, so I am going to pass it back to Jonathan to close us out. Thank you all.
Since there are no further questions, we'd like to thank you for your time and interest in this project. As previously mentioned, we encourage you to submit any feedback or comments using the email address previously provided. A copy of this presentation and transcript will be posted to the MassDOT website. This concludes this public hearing. The time is 8 o'clock p.m. Thank you and good night.